Welcome to Influence Matters, the show that teaches you how to turn your story into impact and your expertise into influence. I am literary consultant and hybrid publisher Clara Rose, and I am your host here today. And each week I cover topics that are related to crafting your message for the world and building influence for your business, ministry, cause, or brand. Often I have a special guest who's doing something interesting or amazing that I think you might be interested in. And then I bring them on the show. And today I do have a special guest. So, Emma Collyer is the owner and principal coach of Aspire Executive Coaching, where she helps leaders turn everyday interactions into powerful two-way conversations that spark trust, creativity, and results. Known for her down-to-earth approach and energy in the room, she transforms tough talks, which should interest all of us, into growth moments that brings teams closer together. She's a certified ICF and ACC coach and an emotional intelligence practitioner, which I find super fascinating. She is based in Canada. Emma works with leaders around the world, though, and she helps them communicate with clarity, lead with empathy, and enjoy the ride along the way. So please help me welcome to the studio, Emma. Are you with me? There you are. Welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here.
So I always read a bio because that's what you do when you're introducing somebody, so you don't miss the important stuff. But tell my audience what it is that you really do, like at the core of you. What is it that you really do?
Yeah, I love that question. I think for me, I share a lot of stories with teams and individuals about my own experiences, so my failures and my successes, and I provide them with practical tools to help everyday conversations. I know we're talking about difficult, hard conversations particularly, but really getting into some of those. And I want to make an impact and help people, whether it is in the workplace or in their home life. And so that's where I really dig in and get involved in those messy conversations, those challenges that we all face day to day. So yeah, that's my summary,
And
I
we
guess,
just
of where I be.
that's what you really do. And really just help people become better communicators, right? And
Yes,
communication is can be such a difficult thing. And if you don't have good skills to communicate effectively, it affects everything, right?
absolutely. It can hold you back from building relationships, building trust, particularly in a work setting where you may
Mhm.
be wanting your team to work effectively. Communication is the key to that. And if you're not able to do that, you're kind of missing a trick. So I think it's understanding those essential tools that is going to be beneficial across so many different areas.
So, Aspire Executive Coaching. So, you're obviously working primarily with executives. So, is this like a one-on-one deal, or how is it? How is it people bring you in to their
Yeah.
organization?
Yeah, I love that. A couple of different ways. Kind of come in one on one to work with me, and we do a lot of work over Zoom, that kind of platform. But I also work with organisations. So I'll come in and help curate a program, for example, which may be around. Just thinking of one recently, giving and receiving feedback. So that's a topic I've been talking about a lot recently. And so really trying to understand what the needs are of an organisation, and then basing a program of training and coaching around that to support the individuals. So that's typically how I operate.
So, is it primarily then you work with the individuals because you're in the organization, or you're working with individuals and then you, like, as an afterthought, they bring you into the organization?
So it's an interesting question. So a bit of both, but I'd say when I work with individuals, a lot of their time they're coming directly to me. So there's a problem,
Okay.
there's a challenge, which is often around communication. Maybe it's about their career and wanting to get promoted or a new role, and communication is part of that. But then I also am approached by organisations to help support them develop their teams and their individuals and kind of their leadership also. So that's a slightly different ask, but it's two different ways that I support people.
So I'm super. I know a little bit about it, but I don't know that very many people do. Super interested in emotional intelligence, right? We all grew up understanding that you could measure someone's IQ, right, their intelligence level, but this is a different emotional intelligence is a little bit different. Can you speak to my audience about that? What does that mean? What does that look like?
Yeah, it's a really, really interesting topic. This, for me, is about how we show up day to day and how we manage our emotions and leverage them. So it's kind of how we show up in society as well. And the difference with IQ. So IQ is something that is fixed. It can't really be developed or grown. EQ can. So if you did an assessment right now of your emotional intelligence, it would give you a snapshot in time. And it would also
Mm,
provide you with an opportunity to identify, what are some areas of potential growth or development, or even some blind spots that we might be unaware of that are kind of impacting how we do things. And so EQ can be developed and is often something that we look at, particularly for leaders. What is your level of EQ? For the best and most effective leaders, their EQ is usually really high. And so for them, it's leveraging that in a way that's going to be beneficial for their teams and their organization. But for some, there's some challenges there. And so it's understanding how best to move things forward. So how can we, for example, use our emotional intelligence to leverage decision making? What can we do with that? So there's lots of different aspects to it, but it's a really intriguing area of work, and I really enjoy working with clients on that aspect.
mm. I've kind of it's been a few years since I learned about it, but I'm just super intrigued by how much it affects everything, right? It's uh, connected in so many ways to to everything. Like how emotionally um, mature you are, or how emotionally stable you are, right? It
Yes.
is an interesting um, snapshot of where you are. So you do an assessment, I assume, for
Yes.
their EQ, and then does it give you like, oh, these are the things that we need to work on, and then you build a program around that, or is it how in depth is it? I'm so curious. I want to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, so the assessment that I use is EQI 2.0. So that assessment is quite in depth, and you can do like a leadership report or a workplace report. There's different options, or even a 360 where you get others to review your EQ in that. And it
Ah,
provides
interesting.
yeah, so it provides assessment against things like your kind of self awareness, your self perception of yourself, how you interrelate with others, how you might respond under times of stress. Even how assertive are you with your decision making. So there's
Mm,
lots of different categories that it kind of reviews, and then it does provide suggestions. So if there's an area where perhaps it's not as strong as it could be, the report will provide some recommendations. And so when I work with a client and we debrief the assessment, I'll be usually sort of saying, what areas were interesting to you? You've read the report,
mm,
what stood out, what would you like to focus on? So it's very much led by the client in terms of what they want to grow and develop, because we can't do everything all the time, because there's a lot
right.
in there. So what do we want to do right now? And then take it from there. So then it's a good point of, okay, well, if we did this assessment again in 6 months, 12 months time,
Mm,
what does your EQ look like now? Have the
mm,
things you've done, the actions you've taken help to grow this area? And that's kind of the whole point, really, is trying
interesting.
to grow and develop and
Right.
get better at your emotional intelligence.
Right. Well, that's interesting that you can look at it and then go work on some stuff and come back and see your progress,
Yeah.
or, lack thereof, I suppose, depending on how that goes, right? I it's see when you talk about emotions, it seems like a more, you know, delicate or sensitive, right? Topic, maybe. Do people get weird about that? Right? Do they look at that and go, that's not me, or is there some denial to get over at first?
Yeah, I think initially, if the word emotion, you think, oh, emotional.
Hmm.
Someone's being emotional. Then are they going to get upset? Are they
Hmm.
going to cry? It's not about that. It's about how we show up. Are we? We think of emotions as a whole range. Are we angry? Are we
Mm. Mm. Sure.
anxious? Are we? There's a whole different range of emotions that can show up in situations, and how we put those across to others then has a big impact. If
Mm.
I'm a leader and I am really angry about something and I'm
Mm.
sharing that and projecting that, that is going to impact those around me. So
Mm.
being able to
Sure.
understand, okay, I might be feeling this emotion, but how am I going to manage it and control it in a way that is helpful to others? That's a different place. You just don't
Mm.
want to be passing on some of those unhelpful emotions
Sure.
in those kind of environments. I'm sure we can all think of examples where you're like, oh my
Yeah.
goodness,
Oh,
that person,
sure. Yeah.
that person was like projecting
Yeah.
whatever that feeling was at
Right.
that time, and it
Um,
probably didn't
but
help. So
it's usually pointing at someone else though, right? Like those things that pop into your head. Oh yeah, I can think of a time when that person, right? It's not
yeah,
as often that we go, oh yeah, that I can think of a time when I did that, right? I'm the one. So it's so much easier to see those things in others, I think. Or that's a tendency, at least my
yeah,
perception of it. I've always been a
yeah.
huge assessment nerd. I love assessments. I don't know what that is about, but I've
Okay.
always loved just taking, I think because you learn about yourself when you take assessments, since I'm always fascinated by that, um, like the strength finders and things like that, where you can uh, learn about yourself. But then I also loved when in a group setting, others did it as well, right? So then you could compare notes and go, oh, your number one is also strategic, right? That's why we get along so well. Or, right? You're my woo is non-existent. I'm not a woo girl, right? I'm not, so you're not going to see me at the front of the room, cheering. Right? So I'm not a woo girl. So that helps us understand each other um, in more depth. So I would think that the EQ would also do the same thing for people, right? Help them to see um, strengths and weaknesses in others, or you know, personality types, or whatever it is you call it. Is that true for the EQ? Do you use it in that way with groups of people? Do they share that information with each other?
I think it's very much up to the individual whether they want to share
Mm.
their own kind of assessment.
Mm.
So, I
Mm.
have most people when they do it, they're like, "Oh wow, this is me. This totally describes me. I
Yeah,
didn't think it could, but it has." And I've
it
had people
has.
in the past
Mm.
really want to go and share certain aspects of the report with either their
Mm.
peers or their manager or even their team to say, "Hey, I did this report. It just completely explains why I do the things I do in this particular way. I wanted to
Mhm.
share it with you." So I think it can be really helpful. I think I would always caution um, sort of saying to everybody, okay, now let's share our reports. It really has to be led by
Right.
the individual in terms of what they're
Sure.
happy to share, because it's a personal thing. They've done it, they've answered
Mhm.
questions in a particular way, and they need to
Mm.
feel comfortable sharing those results with others as well in that setting.
Yeah. I guess that makes sense. I'm like that open book kind of person, right? I'm sh I guess I don't
Yes.
care what they think, and so I'm willing to just share. This this is who I am. This is what you see is what you get, and if you don't like it, I'm okay with that, right? But I suppose not
Yes.
everyone feels the same way. Anyway, so also intrigued by the feedback stuff that you were talking about.
Mm.
So I think in communication for me, feedback is super important. Like I want people to feel free to tell me what's on their mind, or and maybe it's my collaborative nature, uh, which is why I do the work that I do, I guess. Um, so how does that look in a group setting where you're teaching people how to give feedback or how to accept feedback? Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I do a bit of both. So we talk about how to give feedback, how to receive feedback, and also how to ask for feedback. So those are the kind of three main areas that we focus on. And when I start the training, a lot of the time, I will get them to do some kind of activity. So, working in small groups or in pairs, there's an active listening exercise that I often run, which really leans into some of the challenges we have with feedback, which is actually listening to other people to understand what those challenges might be. So that's where I start. And then we dig into some of the structure of how to provide feedback and all the different components that can include. So there's lots of different pieces in there. If I list the things that we talk about, what is the key message you want to put across? Because often when we try to provide feedback, we provide a list and it's too much, and then people get really confused. Get them to think about the timing of a message. So when are you delivering this? You've noticed maybe something in a meeting. Don't leave it too long. Don't wait till, 2 weeks later. Try and talk to them fairly soon afterwards about that. And then other things to consider, like have the conversation in a private setting. If it's providing constructive feedback, don't do it in an open plan office where others can hear that conversation.
Sure.
And then a piece that always comes up is action planning. What are you taking from that conversation? What is the agreed action that you're going to come back with, or the progress that you're going to talk about? So there's lots of different pieces in there, as well as other things. But yeah, those are the key things we talk about to start with.
For feedback. And do you find that is a large piece that's missing? Like in this, if you looked at communication as like this puzzle, right? Are those the pieces that are missing, that people don't know how to listen? They don't know how to ask for feedback. They don't know how to give feedback. Is that, because it seems to me that would be like a big missing component for a lot of people that I can think of. Am I right?
Yeah. Yeah, I absolutely do think that is a challenge right now. And I think even, I was reflecting with somebody the other day, since COVID, I think communication in person somehow has become more difficult, and people are more afraid around, will I get it wrong? So they don't have those difficult conversations because they're fearful of doing the wrong thing, it not turning out well, and someone being upset. So the conversation is avoided altogether. And then the problem escalates because it's not dealt with. And so this happens time and time again. And so that's what I'm trying to help people avoid. It's like trying to avoid that escalation of the issue, just tackle it and deal with it.
Even though the difficult conversations, I mean, those are the ones that we avoid first, right? Like, oh, that's uncomfortable, or right? Those are
Yeah.
the ones that, right? We need sometimes someone to step in and kind of play the part of playground teacher, right? Which shouldn't happen because we're adults, but right, emotions get in the way, and pretty soon you've got chaos where it shouldn't be. Interesting
Yeah.
stuff. So, have you been doing this for a really long time? Are you newer to? Talk a little bit about your journey, how you got here. This is a very unique, specific, niche kind of work that you're doing.
Yeah. So I guess I've been working really in depth in this space for the last kind of year or two. But prior to that, way back in my career, I didn't start out as a coach. I started out as a landscape architect, believe it or not, and then moved through different kind of environmental roles. Project management was one of those, and then leading technical teams and departments. And it's through my work with people and lots of challenges with leading people that I kind of developed, I think, skills through doing that, through seeing what worked, trying things out, making mistakes, getting things wrong, trying again. It builds those skills that then become actually really important. And so the skills around communication, which we rely on day to day, has kind of been developed through my entire career, I guess, without realizing it. And then setting my own business up a few years ago now. So in 2021, coaching was something I was really passionate about. I've been developing that skill over kind of the previous 10, 15 years. And then just really leaning into this communication and connecting with organizations that were looking to really enhance this. The really good organizations know that this is important. And so they want that support. They want to support their teams in developing this because they can understand that is a challenge. And so this is an area that I've been working in, enjoy working in, and it's rewarding for me to work with groups and just like see those aha moments and that, oh, I can try this and
Right.
I can do this. I feel confident with this now. And then
Yeah.
hearing the feedback of, hey, I did that and it works. And it's like, oh, this is amazing. So I think that for me
You're
is
like,
why I really
yes.
love doing it. Yes.
That's always fun, right? When people have those moments, you're like, yes, right? That success, that we're finally there. I think
Yes.
probably everyone has a little bit of that in the work that they do. I certainly have that
Yeah.
in the work that I do when they, you know, successfully do something and they're like, look what I've done. And then, of course, when their book comes out, when they're like,
Mhm.
look what I've
Yes.
accomplished. So,
Amazing.
and that is why we do what we do for sure. I have to ask this
Yeah.
question because I ask everybody this question. Have you written a book?
I have not written a book, no,
I've
but I'm
not
very
written a
intrigued
book.
to do so. No.
Something to think about. Something to think about.
Okay.
Okay. Um, I do also want to ask because probably people you have letters after your name, but people might not necessarily know what an ICF or an ACC coach is. So, can you speak to that? What that means?
Yes. Yeah, so ICF is International Coaching Federation. And so
Oh,
that's kind of the
okay.
international body that I'm accredited with. And it's said to be
Okay.
the gold standard and is very well known in North America particularly in terms of coaching. And ACC is the level that I am trained to, so that's Associate Certified Coach. So again, that's attached
Okay.
to the International Coaching Federation. So that's what
Okay.
I am.
Okay. Well, that's good for people to know because, especially in this day and age, you likely have noticed, as I have noticed, that everybody's a coach, right?
Yes.
And it seems like because it's such the word coach just by itself is very unregulated, right? So I all the
Correct.
time see people, oh, I'm a book coach, right? Oh, I have a book coach. But if you look at who they are and what they're bringing to the table, they have no accreditation, they have no education, right? And so
Yes.
it's so freely used and so flippantly used that people who are legitimately professionals coaching, which I think that's why I avoid using the word coach. People are like, oh, she's my book coach. No, I'm not a book coach, right? Because that word can come with that, oh, right. It's like so they're almost gonna pat you on the head. Oh, isn't she cute? Right? So it's nice to know that, right? When somebody is like
Yeah.
legitimately a professional, they have somebody, a body of some sort saying, yes, this person is actually trained, is actually has the knowledge necessary to do the work that they're doing. So I love that you use those that certification, that information so you can say, hey, yeah, I am a real live, I'm for real. And, maybe that's just
Yes.
me and just my perception. Do you feel like you've seen some of that out there, maybe with some
Yes.
competition that you have even in your world? You find that to be true?
Yeah. I completely resonate with what you're saying. I think there are millions of coaches out there or people that
Mhm,
call themselves coaches. And
mhm,
for me,
mhm,
the training and the accreditation was really important. And particularly
mm,
for organizations, I am asked
mm,
all the time, what certifications do you have? And if you say
mhm.
ICF, they're like, oh, okay, you're legit. And what that means is we've had to, we abide by a code of ethics. We've had to go
Mhm,
through
mhm,
hundreds of hours of training. We've coached a certain hundreds of hours of individuals.
mhm,
And so that there are standards. Whereas, as you rightly said, there are a lot of people out there who from, yesterday they weren't a coach. Today they're saying
mhm.
they're a coach.
Right,
And
right.
it's a very different thing. So I think
Yeah.
it's a tough
And
one because I do cringe a little bit with the word coach
yeah.
also.
Yes. Oh, good. It's not just me. Just because
So
it's been almost misused, right? It was so,
yeah,
Like, "Oh, just be a coach. You're" and I actually, years ago, I had a business coach, I guess you would call her, would say, "Claire, you're just a business coach." I'm like, "Oh, no, I'm not." She goes, "Yeah, you're a really good business coach." I'm like, "No, no, no, I'm not." Because I worked with people, helping them, before it transitioned into the writing world, helping them start
Mm,
their or grow their business, right? And it became about the written word, and then it became about publishing your book, right? Over 20 years
mm.
time it morphed into that, but I just never could get over the word coach. Just felt so, like, oh, yesterday I was a school teacher, today I'm going to be a coach. You throw up a website, I'm a coach, right? Right, you're charging
Yeah,
this money, right, to people. Like, it just has been misused as a term. That's why I'm a literary consultant, right? Because it
yeah,
feels less, you know, fluffy, or I don't know what that is. Maybe it's my own hang up. Maybe I need some coaching. Right? I have a hang up on the word coach or something. I don't know. Too
yeah.
funny.
Yeah, I totally agree. The
Okay.
word almost feels a bit icky now. I use the word icky there. It's
Yeah.
just
Yes. It does have a little bit of
so I
ickiness. Okay.
yeah.
We are just about out of time, but before we do run out of time, let people know how, if they are thinking, "Oh, yes, I absolutely need to connect with Emma. I need her." How do they connect with you? How would you like them to reach out to you?
Yeah, so I have my website, which is aspireexecutivecoaching.com. I also have some free resources around feedback, in particular, if that is an area that you're interested in. And so if you put in needmoretrust.com, that will take you directly to a short video, a guidance document, and a worksheet as well. So really leaning into those difficult conversations.
I love that. So needmoretrust.com will get you to that
Yes.
video,
Yeah,
or they can go to
correct.
your website and learn more about your
Yeah,
services over there. And then can they
yeah.
find you like on any socials or any place, or any place else they might want to
Yeah,
connect with you?
yeah, I'm mainly on LinkedIn, so that's where you'll
LinkedIn,
find me
perfect.
most of the
Yeah,
time. Most of my clients are on there, and I do have
sure.
a bit of presence on Instagram as well, but not quite so much.
Well, you're business to business or business to professional, so LinkedIn is probably where you're supposed to be. So that's the perfect location for you. Okay, that is it for
Amazing.
today, but thank you so much for taking some time to just share what you do and what you have to offer, to the world, taking a half an hour out of a busy schedule. I surely appreciate your time, my friend. Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure being here. Appreciate your time also.
We'll see you next time. All right, guys, there you have it. Emma can help you. You are an executive coach, and you think this is, or a company thinking, yeah, we really need someone to come in and help us with these things. Absolutely reach out to Emma. She's the real deal for sure. Okay, before you go, I always want to remind you that if you're looking to grow your influence with your book, you can join the free Savvy Author community on Facebook. It's under groups Savvy Authors, or you can check out the Savvy Author Academy at craftingyourmessage.com. Click on the work with us. It will take you right over to where you can see how you can become a part of the Academy. January is coming. Of course, we will have a new start group in January. If you would like to be a part of that, get some more information. If you have more questions, of course, the connect button on the website will let you hop on my schedule, on my calendar, so that we can chat about your book project that's coming up. All right, my friends, this is it. I am out. Have a wonderful Christmas, and I will see you soon. Take care.